I have never seen KWAIDAN. What should I expect?
Well, KWAIDAN by Masaki Kobayashi is a crucial film, again, for me, and the reason I chose it is multi-tiered, because it's based on the stories of one of my favorite writers of all times, Lafcadio Hearn. Hearn is a very peculiar writer.
ところで、日本の古い話には不思議に結末をつけないでそのまま残っているのがある。なぜ結末をつけないでそのままになっているのか。あるいはまたその執筆の途中で死の神が筆を止めさせたのかもしれない。
He has an Irish father, a Greek mother. He chronicles Japan for the West. You know, he makes accessible Japanese myth and the richness of their culture, and his fables are full of passion. The stories are based on a book of his called KWAIDAN, which also is one of my favorites because part of it is insect lore and the other part is ghost stories.
Perfect.
So what's not to like, you know? It's an eminently modern movie and also an artifact of ancient roots because it's based on ancient ghost tales of Japan. One of his tales is one of the most beautiful paradoxes on ghost/fairy tales, The Woman in the Snow. It's a fairy tale that is both incredibly scary and incredibly beautiful and talks about love and death with equal passion. Kobayashi was one of the most renowned filmmakers in Japan at the time, but he was also incredibly stubborn, and his quest to do KWAIDAN the way he wanted to do it, and at the scale and the inventiveness he wanted to do it, it is not an enterprise that he rationally should have tackled. And he goes against all that and makes what I consider one of the most perfect films artistically I've ever seen. And his influence is felt in my own work in the fact that the inventiveness the film has with color and shape and filmmaking is unrivaled. He goes completely not analog about the way he treats colors or landscape. All of a sudden you have a sky full of eyes watching human foibles that has a transcendental, crazy value spiritually, but visually is insane. And then he goes into a color palette that is of a purity equal to painting or engraving. If you have never seen it, and this is going to be your first time, you're in for an absolute treat because it's a film for all times.
夢か。
夢ではない。
Toronto, Cannes, Berlin, and Sundance, everybody chat about. Good movies, chat about. Good movies, chat about. Good movies. Good movies. Good movies. Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to the Good Movie Chat About, where we have good chats about good movies with good Lord Goo Goo, me, Bobby. Here I am once again, solo, because, well, frankly, we're talking about a movie today by a director that... Well, I honestly would feel bad for any guest because I probably would not let them speak anyway. So I just figured it would probably be simplest if I just did this one myself. I have a lot. I've talked about this director before. I'm not going to get right into it, but Masaki Kobayashi, pretty much all-time favorite director, actually, especially for Japanese cinema, which is, as I have said countless times on here, my favorite foreign cinema. Foreign to me, I should say. So, how's everybody doing? We're here again. It's Saturday. It's 3 p.m. Eastern. We're having a good movie chat about. Toying with doing this later. I'm thinking maybe of pushing this to 6 p.m. What do we think? If you have opinions about that, sound off. I don't know. We're going to keep it at 3 p.m. for now, though. So we're still in our Ghost Story month. And yeah, we're going to be talking one of the best... The best anthology ghost story movie, my favorite Japanese horror movie, KWAIDAN, or KWAIDAN. Either is fine. But first, you know what it is. We have concessions to chat about movies. We have to chat some concessions. So I actually, today, I have coffee. And look at the mug. Look at the mug of coffee. Yowie, Mitch, and Weiger. And oh my God! Oh no! There's a ghostly visage in my mug. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, there's some sort of figure in here. Ah! I'm gonna drink his soul anyway. Fuck you. And that's a joke for the people that have seen KWAIDAN. Speaking of, maybe you're watching this because you're on YouTube and you search for KWAIDAN and you're like, who else is talking about this movie? And maybe that's so. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do like and subscribe. I will say that these all go up on YouTube, usually the same night. Usually I just export it right after I'm done streaming. I don't know. Maybe I should edit them down so they're a little better, but we'll figure that later. I'm thinking about doing some YouTube specific content, that like edited high effort stuff. More on that further down the road. But that's just something I've started toying around with. But anyway, coffee. Also got some water as well. And yeah, it was another week of movies, folks. I saw some movies. So let's actually let's review. What did I see? So here's my diary, of course, KWAIDAN. And once I got really locked in on it this week. I think I watched it on Wednesday or Thursday, maybe. I guess it would have been Thursday. And then I rewatched the whole thing with the commentary by the GOAT, late great Stephen Prince, one of the great film scholars, especially on Japanese cinema. He rocks. So I watched KWAIDAN, but I also went a little Kurosawa mode this week. Shout out Stephen Prince. Hey, oh wait, because dub true, he's a Hokie. Did you wait? If you actually had him as a professor, I'm about to be so jealous. If you like took a film course or something, but yeah, Hokies. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna pick your next time we hang out. I'm gonna definitely be asking you about the man Stephen Prince. Speaking of Stephen Prince, I think he also has a commentary track. I didn't listen to it, at least not yet. I can't remember if I think I've listened to it before. But High and Low, I had to well, first of all, I did upgrade. I got the 4K disc Criterion of High and Low, even though I already have the Blu-ray. The way I justified it to myself is that my dad really loved Highest to Lowest, of course. Ooh, Hitchcock and Truffaut. Ooh, that's really cool. That is really cool. My dad loved Highest to Lowest, and it was great. And he said, your mom didn't like it as much. And I talked to my mom too, and she was like, the music was like insane. She was like, it's so much loud. I was like, yes, Mom. Yes, correct. But anyway, I was telling him about the original and stuff, so I was like, well, you know what? I'll get the 4K and then I'll give my Blu-ray to my dad. That's how I'll justify it. So I'll be like, here's the original. Because he loves crime stories, and this is, I think, the best crime movie ever. But I also watched, for the first time, a Kurosawa I hadn't seen yet, I Live in Fear. Which was really great, and also kind of tough to watch in the sense that it's about a man who can't deal with the threat, just the constant looming threat of potential, nuclear annihilation by H-bomb or A-bomb or what have you. And this is, 1955. This was 10 years after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So it's very much in the zeitgeist. And it's about, but this man kind of goes overboard and decides that because Japan is like uniquely bad for radiation for some reason, that he needs to leave Japan and move his entire family to Brazil. But it's a really cool movie because it's about basically if they're going to rule him incompetent or not, so that the family can, they don't have to move to Brazil, where it's a whole thing. He has like a company and like a whole mining quarry, and it's a family business where his sons work as well, and so he's going to shut it all down and move them all to Brazil. But what made it especially like timely and great is that it's about like how we live with just the knowledge of like everything is so bad, and when people are like, he doesn't have an irrational fear, it's a very rational fear, and I think we all have some rational fears. So a movie about living with our rational fears, and yeah, it kind of doesn't have a neat ending by any stretch, but it was a really cool movie. I really loved I Live in Fear more than I thought I would, which I thought I was going to like it because it's Kurosawa, although I haven't liked every Kurosawa, I should say. Then I watched, I maybe for the first time, I mean, I've definitely seen lots of it. Feel like I've seen like solidly like the first third or the first half of All the President's Men, and I've seen a lot of scenes. So I felt like I'd watched it, but like seeing it beginning to end, this of course was the day that Robert Redford died. So I wanted to watch that, and I really loved it. I really loved Jason Robards as Ben Brantley, and he won the Oscar for supporting actor for this. I think deservedly so. And I did do a silly, funny Letterboxd review on this one, quoting Jason Robards' line after the R.I.P. Robert, and the rest of this is his line R.P., which is his line is, well, there's nothing to lose except the First Amendment of the Constitution, the freedom of the press, and maybe the future of this country. So, anyway, things being pretty quaint with just the illegality of the Nixon. And when you're feeling nostalgic for Nixon, it's not a great time. So anyway, not to start things off as a total bummer, I saw that my viewers went from 5 to 2. Like, oh my god, what a dip. Now I'm at 3. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna stop obsessing over that number. But rather than being such a bummer about this week is just really something, man. And part of why I love my movies and retreating into my movies is, it's a great retreat. And it's also a great place to contextualize things and to put these are the things we've always struggled with. And also it helps kind of get your head and on arms around things that are happening all the time and is bad. I'm very eloquent, obviously, this afternoon. So what I'm going to do is, it's a solo ep, and on the solo eps, I do the dulls. I do the dulls. I do the movie dulls, all the various dulls of movies. I think I've got the main ones. Last time I did a solo ep 2 weeks ago for The Fog, I put this at the end, and that was stupid, because it was like, I finished the talking about the movie, and then I'm like, let's just peter out. So we're going to warm up with the dulls. Makes a little bit more sense. So yeah, let's do these dulls. Okay. So first we start with the box office game. Go away. All right. Weekend of April 2008. Sony second week. 36% drop. Is that Spider-Man 3? Is that 2008? Or was it earlier than that? I think it was Spider-Man 3. No. Okay. April 2008. Okay, no. Yeah, I should have known from April. All right. Who's top billed? Oh! Wait, Jim Sturgis? Is it? Did this get number 1? Holy shit. 2 weeks in a row? Okay. Kevin Spacey. All right. I was like, it's not Across the Universe with Jim Sturgis. I don't think that got number 1. All right. Let's move that up. 160 points on that. Okay. 20th Century Fox in its first weekend. 13 mil in April. Abigail Breslin. Is this Little Miss Sunshine? Is it straight up Little Miss Sunshine? Oh, okay. Yeah, this I guess would be a year or two after Little Miss Sunshine. So what did she do? Jodie Foster. But Abigail Breslin is billed over Jodie Foster? What movie is this? Gerard Butler. Is this like The Giver or something? No, that was much later. What is this? Or are they voices? What does Fox doesn't do animated, do they? Man, I don't know what this one is. Reveal. Be a hero of your own story. Yeah, just reveal it all. Young girl has the novel she's reading. I give up. Nim's Island. Who knows Nim's Island? I don't know Nim's Island from Nim's Adam. All right. Universal in its first weekend. Ooh, just missed on passing Nim's Island for the number 2 slot. This was kind of a dire weekend at the box office. Let's see. Who's top billed here? George Clooney. April 2008, George Clooney first weekend. Is this The Monuments Men? No. George Clooney, Renee Zellweger. What the heck? Huh? Who directed it? Oh, George Clooney directed it. Okay. What did he direct? It's not Good Night and Good Luck. Did he direct Syriana? Did he direct it? No? Fuck. What other movies did he? It wasn't The Monuments, man. If Love is a Game, who will make the first pass? Oh, and John Krasinski. What the fuck is this movie? Yeah. Reveal all. A lighthearted comedy about the beginning of the freshman football. Oh, it's Leatherheads! Oh, it's Leatherheads! Oh, Jesus, I don't get any points for Leatherheads. Oh, god damn it. Okay, week 4, it's doing, it's crushing it. It's got 131 million in 4 weeks. Last week it was number 2. Jim Carrey, 2008. It's not. Home with Dick and Jane? No. What? Jim Carrey 2008. It's not Bruce Almighty. That was earlier. What is it? What did he do after Bruce Almighty? My brain. Okay, who's number 2? No, it is Bruce Almighty. Bruce Almighty was 2008? I don't know time. Okay, it's Bruce Almighty. Not a good movie. That did make a lot of money, though. What? Wait, Bruce Almighty's not right? There's another movie with both Jim Carrey and Steve Carell in it? What are we talking about here? Animation. Okay, that changes things. All right. This is some kind of Dr. Seuss or... But Jim Carrey is top billed, so it's not like Despicable Me, because Steve Carell would be top billed there. Animation. Ah, okay, well, that gives it away. Well, at least I get 80 points for that. All right, all right. All right, Paramount, first week. Oh, 8 million. Didn't do good. Didn't do good here. Jonathan Tucker. Who? Jenna Malone. It's not saved, is it? It can't be. Saved is before this, right? No. Horror. Terror has evolved. Terror has evolved. I'm gonna try something. AVP Requiem. No. Okay, I don't know why. Sean Ashmore. That doesn't help me. Jenna Malone, I know. I don't know what horror movies she's in. Evolved. Terror has evolved. I don't know who Carter Smith is. It didn't make that much money. It had an $8 million budget. Oh, okay, so made back its budget. Fuck my shit. Is this fucking Hostel Part 2 or Part 3? Hostel Part 3? The Ruins. Okay. Jesus, that was brutal. All right. Box office game was not good to us, but this I feel real good about. Okay. These are two movies I know really well. These are two movies I love completely. The Adventures... Oh, you can't see what the left one is. That's The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, and, of course, Addams Family Values. Hang on, let me give you more of the screen here. There you go. Okay. And Baron Munchausen has so many. It has like Uma Thurman, Robin Williams, Eric Idle. Like, it has a lot of people in it. So let's see what we can do here to get to, yeah, Eric Idle, Sarah Polley, Oliver Reed. Now that's interesting. Jonathan Pryce, but I do think I'll go Uma. And now I need Uma in a movie with... I don't think she did a movie with Angelica Houston. If we got a Krumholtz, Christina Ricci, obviously, Christopher Lloyd, Joan Cusack. There's also lots of, like, Nathan Lane has a one scene in Addams Family Values. So let's see. Canada was really good. We're going through Uma's filmography here. Accidental Husband. My Super Ex-Girlfriend. That has, I think, Luke Wilson in it as well. Ooh, the producers. The producers. Nathan Lane, Addams Family Values. Boom! Boom! Shortest possible, bitch! Oh! It's fucking swanky percent. Oh, wow, okay. They went John Neville to Baby's Day Out to Cynthia Nixon to Addams Family Values. I don't remember Cynthia Nixon being in Addams Family Values. But come on. Baron Munchausen, Uma Thurman to the producers, Nathan Lane to Addams Family Values. God, that's clean. That's clean. I didn't have to go through no fucking Baby's Day Out bullshit. Cynthia Nixon, get out of here. I did better than their Shortest Possible. Let the record show. Okay, The Cinematrix. All right. Will Ferrell, Gabrielle Union, Christina Applegate. That's a... what other movies is Christina? I can't think of any other movies Christina Applegate's in right now besides Anchorman and Anchorman 2. Double letters in title, and then release date 2000 to 2010. Okay, well, this is probably going to be the number one answer. Definitely the number one answer. Okay, all right, but hang on. Let's go real deep for Will Ferrell here. Because I know my Will Ferrell. I think Dick was 1999. What year did Dick come out? Pretty sure it was 1999. But he was like in all those, in every comedy. Let's actually... The Ladies' Man. 1% on the Ladies' Man. And then here I'm gonna go Land of the Lost. 2% on Land of the Lost. We gotta make up for our pathetic Bring It On showing here. Double letters in title. Got it. Oh wait, that's Hobbs and Shaw. I was thinking of Holmes and Watson. Nobody judge me. And I'm glad I didn't actually guess Hobbs and Shaw. I was gonna guess Hobbs and Shaw, but I was thinking Holmes and Watson. We've all been there. We've all confused Hobbs and Shaw for Holmes and Watson. God, every Will Ferrell movie I can think of, it doesn't have a double letter in the title. I know so many Will Ferrell movies, and I'm going through so many, and none of them have a double letter in the title. I feel like I'm going fucking crazy. This is among the filmographies I know best. Oh, okay. It's going to be the number one answer, but Ballad of Ricky. Yeah. This is going to be the number one answer. Yeah. I just needed to get out of that. I just needed to get something up there. Okay. Now here's the part where I still don't know any. Okay, wait. Okay, and it'll go here. Got it. Number one answer there, sure. I also don't know any of the Gabrielle Union movies off the top of my head. So this is tough. Okay. Anchorman 2. Okay, here we'll do Wake Up Ron Burgundy for this one. Okay, just to go a little bit deeper. There we go. Like, I know that I just can't remember. Is she in? No, she does play. I think she plays like the friend of the sister in this. Okay, 10 Things I Hate About You. All right, and then I am just gonna give up on the last one. Just see the results. What have we? Oh, she's all that. She's all that. Yeah. Okay. So number one answer. Oh, Anchorman 2 was the number one answer there. So everybody was like, "I'm gonna be clever. I'm gonna say Anchorman 2 is a comedy she's in." Okay. Boat Trip. Sure. Fight for Your Right revisited. Miss Dial. Farce of the Penguins. Jesus, Christina. I guess she was just been doing lots of, I guess she's been doing lots of vocal work because she has MS, that's good for her. So I'm sorry, Christina. You get paid. All right. Now the movie Grid. This one comes with lots of ads, which I like. I like when there's just so many ads. Okay. Chris Evans. All right. Chris Evans, Tessa Thompson, Chris Hemsworth. A little more comfortable here. Okay. 100 million plus box office run. Did Knocked Up make over 100 million? It did not. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Why is it Furiosa? Furiosa, it's a movie. What the fuck? And I can't even read it because of this stupid fucking ad that I can't dismiss. Furiosa. A Mad Max saga. But putting in the word Furiosa doesn't pull it up. Alright. 6.5. That's pretty good. Okay. Creed is the obvious here. I know she's in lots of other things. I don't care. Look, we need to get through the dulls. We're just going to say Creed. Yeah, that's the number one answer. 100 million plus box office run. Here, I tell you what. Love and Thunder. Thor, Love and Thunder. Yeah, there we go. And for you, Chris. Oh, yeah. As Kirk's dad. Show me Star Trek. 6.5%. Let's go. Okay. Oh, and then for a one-word title with Chris, let's go with my Michael Mann, Black Hat. Okay. 10. Okay, there we go. They're doing better. We're doing better now. Creed is our one. I don't know. And also guessing Knocked Up here. Well, The Materialists is obvious because he's just in that. Okay, wait. Oh, no. One-word title. I'm sorry. I was never going to say anything other than Snowpiercer for this. All right. Oh. Now, how do I know? Okay, not first steps. I'm just going to go Fantastic Four. Boom. All right. I'm in the top 69%. Nice. I'm not even going to care. Okay, now my favorite.
Everyone,
Oh!
have a great day.
Thanks for the follow, Sleep Talkie. Thank you. Welcome in. Yeah, that's who I saw in my mug. That's who I saw in my coffee. It was that guy right there. Okay. Now, I love Actoral. Except sometimes I don't. Sometimes it just makes me mad. So what will it be today? And sometimes I get it first guess. Really easy. So we're going to look at an actor's filmography here where they have censored out the titles, but these are the number of letters in each word in the title. And we have the IMDb rating as well as the genres. That's all we know of each of these movies. So this person made their debut in a 1976 movie that was a comedy, crime, mystery thriller. 7.2, that's decent. So it was a pretty good... Actually, it looks like Murder by Death. Who makes their film debut in Murder by Death? Interesting. But I believe that's what this one is. So anyway, 1976 and most recent 2024. Here's what I'm going to guess. Because of the people that I know are in Murder by Death. How about Maggie Smith? Okay, so it is Murder by Death. They are younger than Maggie Smith. Anything else? Oh! Becoming Jane. Interesting. Alright. Let's see. What are some of the other high points in their career? Okay, 1999, 8.6 fantasy drama crime. The blank blank. 8.6. 8.6. In 1999 that's a legendary year. So what could the blank blank that is an 8.6 level movie? 7.1 for this 1997 drama. 8.2 crime mystery thriller drama. Ooh, what's this? The 1997. see, when they have a very distinctive, punctuation. That's when we try to. What's a really good 1997 crime mystery thriller drama that would start? P.S. Like, what could this be? Or I don't know. Science fiction, action, adventure, thriller from 1996. 7.6 is pretty good. Okay, this one maybe like a sequel. Is there another sci-fi that maybe they're in that one too? They were in a really bad comedy in 1994. Fantasy drama comedy family. Star Trek First Contact. I know who it is. It is James Cromwell. Boop, 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 boop. He is really based. I love him so much. He is Farmer Hoggett, and he makes his debut in Murder by Death. But he's also in The Cheap Detective, which I think is much better than Murder by Death, personally. I think it's a lot funnier. That's my hot take. Anyway, let's talk about KWAIDAN! Woo! I'm actually gonna hide this. We don't need to have the wiki open for all of you. So, welcome to Kaidan. Masaki Kobayashi is such an interesting guy, the director of Kaidan. Also, probably the film that he's most well known for, and that we have discussed on this stream, is Harakiri, which I discussed with Luke. Really great episode. Available on my YouTube. Like and subscribe. That really, he was already considered one of Japan's, at least in Japan, one of Japan's great directors because of what's really his masterwork in a lot of ways. At least because for a while he was making contemporary dramas, and then the real, magnum opus of that time period or era of his career is the Human Condition trilogy, which is a 3-part trilogy where the movies range from 2.5 to 3 hours each, or even 3.5 maybe. I think altogether it's close to 10 hours. But also, again, 3 movies, and each movie has an intermission. So really, they're talking about like 90 minutes a sitting, and then you can stop there. So if you think about it as like a 6-part miniseries with 90-minute episodes, it's great. And what that trilogy is about is really, well, it's strongly autobiographical to a degree of what Kobayashi himself experienced being conscripted, as all people of his age were, to fight in World War II on the losing side, in case you forget where Japan ended up at the end of that. And he was always, really a pacifist, really an artist at heart. From an early age, he always wanted to be, a director, and then also when he went to university, he got really into art and criticism and art theory, and he had a professor that he really loved who talked a lot about traditional Japanese modes of art and storytelling and poetry and all that kind of stuff. These are things that were really instilled in him, and then he was forced off to war and really became disillusioned a lot with his government and with the people, the what he considered the militarists, who forced them into this conflict that and just all this horror. You can imagine growing up in a totalitarian regime, as a child, and being told one sort of set of things, and then having this harsh reality as a young man, brought right to your face. It really changed him. So his contemporary dramas that he made were really have a strong through line of inhumane systems and power structures that don't serve the people, and how they fail people by caring more about these structures and these codes of honor and these other things, avarice or greed and things like this, versus the humanity of everyone, the general just an empathetic nature of the world around you and of people. So he makes some really pitch dark dramas like Black River. His favorite actor and collaborator, who is in 10 of his films, is Tatsuya Nakadai, who starred in Harakiri. He's also one of the 2 stars of High and Low, which I just watched. He's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Japanese actor. He's in that pantheon for me of just the all-time great guys. And he is in one of these stories here in Kaidan. But so where Kaidan comes in his career is, so after he does these string of really heavy contemporary dramas, and then he makes this trilogy of his experience fictionalized, and then it has a tragic ending, and it's a different guy. But Tatsuya Nakadai playing his self-insert character, the protagonist of the story through all the films, and after that he makes one more contemporary film, The Inheritance, which I really love as well, also starring Tatsuya Nakadai. But then after that he makes Harakiri, which is his first period film, and it's a samurai film, which is a lot about which are very popular, and were popular. Actually, they had fallen out of fashion in a way. Kurosawa and some others helped to kind of bring them back, because the samurai image in some ways had been used by these militarist forces, the emperor and things, to manipulate them into basically a war they would be destined to lose, and lose horribly. And I'm going to let my cat out now. 1 second. Oh, right. Sorry to totally interrupt things, because you got a good look at it just now. I forgot to show off my shirt. Got a new shirt. Sorry, I'm gonna take a break from talking Kaidan for a second. Of course, Rucking Fountain. Look at that. Look at that. Trying to. It's a good shirt. So, Harakiri, and even I would say then when it was reclaimed by Kurosawa, a lot of his samurai films took place in towards sort of the tail end of samurais, or in periods where the God, I always forget the names of the power structures, but the eras, like the Meiji or whatever, the different eras, when one is fading and there's a tumult, that's often where Kurosawa would place Seven Samurai and those kinds of movies. But Harakiri is very purposefully put towards the beginning of one of the grandest, most storied eras in the samurai times, and so it's meant to be this is when it was at its peak, this is what we valorize. And what that movie's about is about how the samurai code and Bushido and all those things just let humans down, that they have nothing to say about actual human value and human life, and they serve nothing besides perpetuating their own sort of power structure, and it was a huge international hit, a huge hit in Japan as well. And this was kind of his blank check project, which, thankfully that podcast has made that term a pretty common concept. And he put his whole Kobayashi into it. I mean, what else can you say? This was so it was his first color. It was the first film he shot in color. And it was by far his most expensive film. It was one of the most expensive films in general, made in Japan. It actually already had a bit of a reputation before it came out for being a bit of a boondoggle, because he went right through his budget, he borrowed from friends, he sold his house. So much of that money, the vast majority of it, just went to sets. And where did he film it? Oh, so the Shochiku Studios is a Shochiku film that made this, huge studios, and all the various, even other film studios. Oh, no, never mind. It was Toho. Sorry, excuse me. So even bigger. Toho Studios, where they filmed the Godzilla movies, were not big enough to contain all of his backdrop, because he was making these exterior sets, but with these unreal backdrops, these very painterly, very tightly controlled color palettes for each scene and each story. So he needed to make these interiors. and with these crazy skies that are painted. And so the only place that they could find where they could actually create these sets and film this was an abandoned, well, not abandoned, an airplane hangar that was currently like housing a bunch of cars for like Toyota or Honda, I can't remember. And so that is like the scale that all of this is on. Did the movie do well? Well, we'll talk about the movie itself, but I'm just kind of just like setting the scene here. It did win a special jury prize at the 1965 Cannes Film Festival. It was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film. It was very respected and loved internationally, and I think even Japanese critics liked it. But it sort of was an early example of, I can't think of another movie. If you can think of another movie like this, like a modern equivalent, put it in the chat. But it's a movie that comes preloaded. Actually, you know what? Avatar, or any James Cameron movie. That it has a huge budget. It's all visuals. It's like it might be a boondoggle and whatever. Like that's the reputation going in. Now sometimes a James Cameron will just be like, "Fuck you! I know what people like," and it's really entertaining. This is not that. It doesn't grab you quite as easily as maybe a Jimmy Cameron. This is a collection of 4 classic ghost stories collected in or folk tales, ghost stories, whatever you want to call them, that are mainly from a collection of folk tales called KWAIDAN, Stories and Studies of Strange Things, written by the original weeb. The original weeb of all weebs, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Lafcadio Hearn. Lafcadio Hearn, Irish Greek guy, goes to Japan in the end of the 19th century, falls in love with immediately falls in love with the country and as well with the Japanese lady, and settles there for the rest of his life, and he records, and he has his wife tell him a bunch of these classic ghost stories, or she translates them for him, and he kind of puts them in a sort of more modern, like to the time, English interpretation, at least of like the way of writing it, and they're pretty popular, and so he is taking these 4 stories told over the course of 3 hours. And they have a very deliberate pace. This is not a fast movie. I mean, I say it again, 4 stories, 3 hours. And some are longer than others, but they're all really great, but they are all told in a, like, he slows it on down. And I think it's a great... And the only reason why this is my favorite Japanese horror film is in the way that we maybe are trained to think of horror films as jump scares or, brutality. And there's a little bit of that in here. It sort of zags and goes, no, we're going to go slow. We're going to go unsettling. We're going to go creeping dread. We're having like, and the way that it ramps up sort of these things throughout, the stories individually, as well as how they sort of build on each other as it goes, is really quite something else. It's so good. In fact, spending time with it this week, I was wondering whether, in fact, this is my favorite Kobayashi movie, and maybe one of my favorite movies, period. Because I just repeatedly found myself just getting, like, moved by all that I'm beholding, kind of. I've watched this movie, several times before, at least 3 or 4 times before, and I watched it at least 2 times this week, in addition to other scenes and stuff as I've been working on things and researching, and it like, to say that it grows each time, it's not even that, it's that it deepens, because I think the first time you watch it, you get what it's doing. If you're locked into it, if you're on its wavelength, if you can get on the wavelength, it's so, like, I don't know. You go on the emotional journey, sort of that like a David Lynch would talk about, where that by the end of it, you've really experienced this full range of stories and thinking about darker forces or whatever, and the other world or death and all these big dark ideas in a really really powerful way. And that really, like, it's not that when I watch it I get I not just that I get a new appreciation for it, it's that original appreciation deepens further and further, and I see just how much on every level this movie is he is so in control of every frame, every sound, every movement, every set piece and prop. It is all so deliberately done that it is one of the most impeccable films that I'll ever discuss on this show or I'll ever see. So yeah, let's get into each of these stories individually. So we start with the black hair, and now I think that this one is kind of, in some ways, like the most straightforward, and I think that's very deliberate. That it starts on a ramp up, right? And in fact, for the 90% of this story, there's really nothing that's overtly even scary, like, or meant to be. Like, this is clearly signaling a ghost or some dark force. The man at the center of this story is a samurai who he's a very poor samurai that divorces his first wife so that he can marry into a wealthier family and sort of move up in the world. And he is tormented with, the wife he left behind, the wife who adored him and cared for him, but they were poor together. And he his own ambition gets the better of him. And he's very unhappy in the new marriage. And eventually, it doesn't go well. And when years later he returns, he is surprised that he sees his wife still there, and she hasn't aged at all, even though it's been many years. And she still loves him and is devoted to him and tells him to come in, and they embrace and they go to bed together. And then when he wakes up, she's gone, and instead it's just her hair. And then he gets attacked by her hair. And it's a really, really cool moment. Now, here's the funny thing about this and all the stories, is that, okay, that's what the story is. Like, sure, I can describe all these stories in, probably less than 2 minutes each, of all the basic plot points that happen in them. But they're stretched out, and in a way that, again, it gets more into the experience of how the uncanny gets let in. And rewatching the movie this week, I really appreciated how much that happens on the sonic level. Sonic level, what? We talking the Green Hill Zone? Right? How many Sonic heads? Huh? Dr. Eggman? Alright. No, but I was already thinking about it when I watched it, and then it's something that the GOAT, Stephen Prince, was talking about him earlier in the commentary. He mentions a lot is this is a movie that is a lot about exteriors, even though it's all filmed in a studio, obviously. But there's lots of wind, there's lots of fog at times in some stories, and snow. So there's all these elemental forces. And so, you'll see things like, walking on a wooded, leafy, floor or something, or a river. And in this story, when you first see, his new wife, I think is on or they, stop in their journey alongside a river, and you hear the river babbling, what you're hearing matches up with what you're seeing. And that becomes, more and more atypical as the movie goes along. And especially as these sort of otherworldly forces start encroaching in all these, or these uncanny, or whatever you want to call it, whenever these moments start happening, one of the first signals or things you'll get is the sound being off. A door will be slammed, but the sound will come just a little bit late, or not at all. like somebody will be stumbling around a house, but the sound of the stumbling doesn't match what you're seeing. And these things kind of, in the way that they accumulate throughout all the stories, and it's a trick, a device that is used in all of these in various different, slightly different fashion. And I think that the black hair really is almost there to kind of be like, this is a sort of a pretty straightforward ghost story that you can get, and it's almost introducing these devices, and also like it's like, okay, this is a movie of ghost stories. Like, it's just kind of introducing like the concept to you. Interestingly, I forgot to mention when this first released, at least when it released in the West, in Europe and America, the original version that was released to theaters was abridged. It was only 2 hours long, and the black hair ends a little bit earlier. The way that it ends is he gets attacked by the hair in the house. He sees that the house is actually kind of a ruin around him. The camera does some really cool rotating on the Z-axis as it's like going towards him and rotating, and it's like as like it's all kind of dawning on him, the world is kind of spinning around, and it's so cool. And it would kind of have a freeze frame in there that it would end at that point. But there's actually an additional 2 or 3 minutes where he comes out of the house and is wrestling around with the outside, and he's just in this eternal struggle. And he himself, the samurai, has been like transformed, and now is like completely ashen faced, like desiccated almost looking, and it ends in this freeze frame of him struggling with this hair, and it's him sort of like being tortured by this memory and by his original sin of abandoning his wife, and then when he finally gives over to that, then it just consumes him, we can say. And yeah, that's the first story, the black hair. And then the next story is The Woman of the Snow. And now when they did the abridged version that they released, I was shocked to hear that they just cut this one entirely. This wasn't even in the original release. It's like, I would say the second best one of the, if you're ranking each of these stories, which, they're all great. I love watching it all, the whole thing. I like to watch it all in one sitting. I mean, you can easily split it up, but it's really satisfying, I find, if I'm able. It is a long movie, and it's great to just watch one of them on their own too, because there isn't a framing device like there often is, with anthology, especially horror anthologies, like thinking Creepshow or something, which is much lower rent. No offense to Creepshow, I like Creepshow, but that has like comic books or whatever that it's going through. This doesn't even have that. It's the next story comes, and The Woman of the Snow stars Tatsuya Nakadai, Kobayashi's muse almost, or his self-insert kind of guy. He's his, what De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio are to Scorsese, like he is to Kobayashi. And so this is the one he stars in, and he stars with Keiko Kishi, who actually also starred alongside him in The Inheritance, which was the movie he made before Harakiri. And she's great in that as well. And that's kind of like a noir, modern, like, takedown satire of, greed and material obsession. And they play off each other so well in this story. I mean, they have such a great chemistry. But here's the really less than 2 minute summary of this one. A woodcutter is out in the woods, and he gets caught in a blizzard with him and his much older woodcutter friend or coworker or whatever. They find like a hut or a cabin, and they take shelter in there. But it's like the blizzard's coming through, and a witch, or what is called a Yuki Onna, a Japanese like ice witch, or like, let's see, what's a Yuki Onna defined as? Spirit or yokai. Yeah, it's just a like a frost witch kind of spirit. And she is sort of terrifying, and everything is bathed in blue at the beginning. This is also the coolest, I think the most visually striking of the stories in terms of especially the backdrops. This is famously, it has these very beautiful treatments of the sky that have these little like orbs in them that look like eyes. And so there's always this sense of, you know, the heavens watching, or the spirits like are ever present, like this sort of surveillance at all times. And it's all just deep, deep, deep blue. And you see this Yuki Onna basically suck the soul. Not that way. Get your head out of the gutter. But she sucks the soul out of the old man, and then goes to Tatsuya Nakadai and says, "I will spare your life, but you can never tell anyone what you saw here today." And you don't know like why that happens to him. You don't know why she spares him. But the only thing is he can never tell anyone what he saw. And as long as he doesn't tell anyone, he'll be able to live the rest of his life. And then it fast forward, and now it's like bright red, and it's later, and it's beautiful. And later on, he meets just out while he's out, you know, days later. There's just this woman just mysteriously like wandering around, and he's worried about her wandering by herself. And, you know, he offers to accompany her, and she sort of is like, he's like, you know, you shouldn't be walking alone. Like, shouldn't you have a husband? And she's like, well, are you married? And he kind of bashfully like smiles or whatever. And then it fast forwards to them. Surprise titties in this story. I completely forgot. This movie might be rated PG if not for the surprise titties in this story. But that's because they sort of consummate their love, and they again flash forward. They have a whole family, and it's a beautiful family. They have 3 kids, and they're so happy together. And then he's one night feeling wistful and tells her that he sees her across the room, and all of a sudden she resembles the witch, the yokai. The Yuki Onna, rather, that he saw that night. And it startles him, and he's like, oh, I've never even told anybody this story, but since I love you so much and you're my wife, let me tell you what happened. Isn't that crazy? And she's like, you fucked up. You weren't supposed to tell me that. And she says, I will spare... She doesn't kill him. She says, but because of the only reason that she doesn't kill him is because of the children that are there. But that she says, if you ever harm them in any way, I will know, and blah, 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 blah. And then she leaves. And it's him, you know, and it's his just total desolation after she leaves. He is so just completely despondent and, like, crushed, devastated by this abandonment. This was one of the most interesting ones to listen to Stephen Prince's commentary and to get the sort of further insight of... what may have been sort of, you know, horror is so potent for metaphor, I always say. And why did, as we get deeper into this movie, why did Masaki Kobayashi take these stories that have been passed down from the oral tradition, put into this sort of Western context of an English writer, you know, that collected them, and then reclaiming those and choosing a selection of them, because there's like 100 of these stories, and he's just telling 4. And so why did he choose these? What is he getting at as we get further and further in this? And with this one, it's a lot about feeling the betrayal that he felt from generationally, the older generations that sold them out to militarists that went along with this thing that, you know, devastated his generation, and devastated him personally. And it's this like broken promise that comes both ways, that, you know, your world has been described to you this way, and then one day you realize that that's all, you know, a lie because somebody acknowledges it and pierces sort of the bubble. So that was a really interesting thing to consider. Yeah, again, with this one, what I just really love is the performances. Keiko Kishi is so good. So good as the Yuki Onna. I'm trying to think if there's anything else there that I wanted. Oh, okay. I do want to mention, so again, on the sonic level, Green Hill Zone, what the score of this, which is by Takemitsu, Toru Takemitsu, who also did the score for Harakiri, they wanted to use very, very traditional and like told in traditional Japanese instruments, some that had fallen out of fashion. In fact, the next story we're going to talk to about centers around, central to the story is somebody who plays the biwa, which is a stringed instrument that you pluck very harshly, or you can pluck it a few different ways, but it's that was the instrument that was central to the score of Harakiri. If you think about sort of that very strong strumming sound that's in that movie. This second story is centered around the use of a flute. I wonder if there's anything about that. Yeah, I forget the name of the flute. I was hoping I could see it. I didn't write it down, but it's a very specific kind of Japanese flute that in this story is used to represent that cold wind. It plays a lot in the beginning of the story when he has the initial encounter with the Yuki-onna. And then it sort of subsides for the middle part of it, and then as it sort of comes back, it ramps up again, and as it becomes apparent that, no, she is that witch, and that all this sort of happens, it gets that blue wash again, and so again, these little cues sonically, visually, the way that they kind of just, bubble up, and it can go from this very like idyllic family situation. I'm so sick of situations in general. But that the scene of an idyllic family that has everything they need, that can just be completely disrupted by this buried secret that has been under everything the whole time that they haven't wanted to acknowledge or talk about, and it's also sort of fucked up, right? Because she is the one that made him. You can never tell anyone. Well, he didn't tell anyone. He told her, the person that gave him the curse. So does that break it? And I think that part of this thinking is like, yeah, it's unfair even what she's doing. And that's very intentional. But also, does she have motivations, right? Is she, does she put this whole, thing together? Does she decide to live a mortal life because she fell in love with him that night, and because she wanted to build this family? But because she's a spirit or whatever, she's bound to these rules that then once he acknowledges what happens and says it aloud to her, that then it has to all evaporate. Just really, really cool ghost story, obviously there. Also, Kobayashi himself grew up in a very, snowy, cold, it was a small fishing town, but it also was right near the mountains as well. So he spent a lot of time hiking as a youth, and in, mountainous. So there's a bit of, again, and he's having his self-insert actor, Tatsuya Nakadai, play himself here. So there's a bit of a sense of his autobiographical sense sort of feels especially strong in this story compared to the other ones, I would say. Yeah, the eyes in the sky. Oh yeah, I love the way that, and one of the great things is how she kind of glides. I made this my alert for something. Let's see if I can set it off so we can see. I think I did it for bits. Yeah, okay. So here, we'll see sort of what I'm talking about, how she moves here. That sort of floating quality. And then you see also the very blue wash, and then you hear the flute. And that's all those sounds. Like, they don't use practical wind sounds at all. I think, in fact, in this story, they might barely, use practical sounds from the environment. There's a few scenes where they do, but it's all these sort of created sounds with the musical instruments. And this is, I think, the movie, when people talk about every frame of painting, this is the most every frame of painting movie that there is. This is literally, every single frame. I mean, the color, the placement, the framing of things, the way that, and also, so, these are all old stories that have been passed down through the oral tradition, and a lot of them have also been represented in various like artistic ways, like the scrolls and artistic paintings and representations. And he wanted to really evoke that, and rather than have a lot of depth in these, he actually and this again, I'm just paraphrasing Stephen Prince here, I have to be completely honest, but he really tries to flatten out the image to make it these like tableaus, these very horizontal, like that, like you're looking at, so every frame of painting, like literally, in the way that he actually tries to make it look. He wants to consciously evoke, again, this, like, so important in his schooling and in his training was this professor that taught him all this traditional Japanese art history, and he when he returned from the war, he never reconnected with that professor before that professor died, and he sort of after that kind of held on to, like, I want to do something for him, and this movie is a really a reflection of that, in terms of bringing these things to life. And it comes especially to the fore in the next story, my favorite, Hoichi the Earless, which is a story about a biwa player. Let's see, is there another term for that? Yeah. So he plays the biwa, which is that stringed instrument, and it actually opens on a beautiful, so it's the tale of the heike, I think. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. That it's based on, and they start off with a giant artistic representation of this battle. It's a sea battle between the Battle of Danoura, between the Taira and Minamoto clans during the Genpei War. I'm reading this directly from Wikipedia. There is the story of this ancient battle is the emperor had named his grandson as the new emperor, and he was an infant, and he's in his whole retinue, and the entire army is there, or the clan's army or whatever is all there with him, and his grandmother's taking care of him, and they get overwhelmed and outnumbered by the other clan, and rather than die and face dishonor, or surrender and face dishonor, they all throw themselves into the sea. The grandmother takes the infant son, jumps into the sea with him, and they sacrifice themselves. And as a result, this area is seen as like a very haunted kind of sea area. And it's something that the Japanese conception of ghosts is that if somebody has a particularly traumatic or painful death, and the way they die and the circumstances of their death, then it's more likely to result in an angry spirit. And so, whenever the time period is that Hoichi is he's a young sort of new apprentice who's learning to play the biwa, and he specializes in singing this specific tale. That's his specialty. And he's playing one night by himself, and he gets visited, he thinks, by... Oh, and this is the other thing. Hoichi's blind. As biwa players often were, actually. I don't know why. And maybe that was just like the job they gave you to do when you were blind in ancient Japan. I don't know. He gets visited by somebody that he thinks is a local, someone from a local town or village that wants him to come play for them. And so he goes with him, but he doesn't know that it's actually a ghost of a samurai that was one of the warriors from this clan in this battle. And he then is basically in their thrall, and he's constantly missing, and the other people of the temple where he lives and trains, which also led by the head priest, Takashi Shimura, old fish face as I call him. We love Takashi. He is just the best. He's obviously the great old man that's in most of Kurosawa's big films as well. He's in the original Godzilla. He is just the best. And he's completely bald, which makes you think of him in Seven Samurai, where he shaves his head in Seven Samurai to pretend to be a priest in order to. That's how you first meet his character. But here he is bald and a priest, and they all are wondering where he goes. He disappears for like hours on end, and he's constantly like looking very fucked up and drained, and they don't know. And so they eventually one night, a couple of them follow him and find him in what he thinks is like this grand procession. Like he is surrounded by all of the court, like all of the warriors, everyone at all sides, and in a beautiful tableau is right at the center is this infant emperor as he plays through the song and he sings it for them. And when the other two acolytes find him, he's actually in a graveyard, and it has one of the few actual post-visual effects in here. Most things are practical, done with performance, sound design, the camera moves, different things like that. But they actually do add some floating balls of fire that are kind of going around, and but it's great. It's just a simple little thing, and he is there in the middle of a graveyard, and they kind of disrupt him from this, take him out of his trance, and he's distraught. He's still kind of in their thrall, and so in order to stave these spirits away and not let them come get him again, they resolve, the head priest does to write the text of the Heart Sutra all over his body. I like this because it's also writing of the sutra. I mean, it also is in a lot of Chinese ghost stories as well, specifically Encounters of the Spooky Kind and the Mr. Vampire series of movies. There's a lot of times of having to stave off spirits by writing sutras and like putting them on people's foreheads and stuff. But the way that they do it here is they paint the calligraphy all over his body of all these, and it's one of the indelible images of the movie is just Hoichi covered in ink text all over him. But they miss a spot. They miss a spot, folks. Because then when he gets visited by the spirits can't immediately see him, but then eventually, what do they see? They forgot to write on his ears. So the samurai spirit actually grabs him by the ears and rips the ears off. His ears, and he's all bloody, and it's really messed up and kind of scary. But he doesn't make a noise. He manages to not be taken, and it's technically successful that he staves off the spirits, and he's free of their spell. And he becomes world famous as one of the best biwa players. He gets, or not world famous, but he becomes very successful and famous to requests to play, specifically this song. And yeah, he now is like, he basically because his story of Hoichi the Earless, people come from far and wide. And the two acolytes become scared because they actually don't know whether these people visiting are living or dead. And it's an open question, and it's one they don't really settle. And so, is he still singing for the dead? We don't know, but now he is like in his final form, this man who plays his biwa in so strongly that he can summon the dead and sing to the spirits and cross the spirit realm, because that's the power sort of this storytelling and music. And now, so when we get to what the metaphor in this one is, hey Spanker, thanks for stopping in, Emilio. I'm talking KWAIDAN. I'm talking Hoichi the Earless, which, so as you can imagine, the things that that Kobayashi hated about Japanese militarism culture, specifically of World War II, that he had to experience and go through, was a sense of your death is a glorious thing, and you should be willing to self-sacrifice, obviously. Kind of a big thing in Japanese war, World War II, obviously, with kamikaze fighters and everything like that. So this idea of like the death before dishonor of, jumping with an infant child into the sea rather than surrender, is kind of, I think, at the core of this story. And again, about continuing this song. And he does continue the song. It's what does our culture that we create and that we make carry through with us. And I talked about this a little bit last week when Alex and I were talking about the others with the question of, do I believe in ghosts? And I said, I kind of brushed past the idea that I think that insofar as there are spirits and ghosts, it's our own collective kind of trauma and history and these sort of things that just kind of stay with us and manifest in ways that we perceive or don't, or that make us think about these things, and that we recreate in our art, in our horror movies that we make. And so to me, that's what like this is really, really about, is it's the KWAIDAN, these ghost stories continue in some ways the stories that Japan tells about itself. And to me, like, that's the real horror, I think, that he puts into Hoichi the Earless, is that he actually gets really successful telling this, and he continues to tell it. And that it's, that the song, maybe he's not singing it directly to those ghosts anymore, but it's still getting out there. It's still that maybe it's the song itself that's dangerous. I don't know, but I just really love the visuals of this one. This one is the one that took the most of the budget, I would say, easily, because it has so many people in it. It has these enormous naval battle scenes, which are very like it's a tableau. I have said tableau a million times today, but it's a static kind of thing. But they have wind machines, they have little fog machines or whatever going. But these ships that are completely still, but the camera just gives them so much motion and so much heightened like tension as the biwa plays in the beginning, and it intercuts between that and artistic representations of the same battle. And you get and so right from the beginning of this story, it's telling you like this is, and it's a story that like everybody knows. Especially like at the time of Japan, and it's like this is a continuation of the story. Like each telling of it keeps it alive and keeps it going. And if we're going to keep telling it, we need to fully interrogate what we're telling. Who are we actually talking about, and what is that about? Something I think about a lot and stuff. Anyway. The final story, which I always consider a bit of like almost like a coda here, the final story, because it immediately is very meta. It's called In a Cup of Tea, and it starts with a writer. It's New Year's Day, and he is writing a story. And it's a story about a lord on his way to himself a New Year's visit, that he stops at a tea house and has a cup of tea. And then when he looks in it, he sees a spirit, which we saw with the follow alert earlier. The spirit just stares at him, kind of smirks at him, and a beckon, like his eyes are kind of giving that come hither stare a bit. He pours it out. He pours it out. He starts to pour another cup of tea in that, and then he puts that cup down. He gets a different cup. He says, no. Whole new cup. New cup of tea. Looks in there. Boom, there's the face again. And he just kind of stares it down, staring contest with the tea. And he just gulps that shit. He just gulps that shit down. But then later that night, he is visiting... the man who he saw appears to him, and he like he runs to tell his sort of attendants, his guards, and they kind of laugh and say, "No, you're seeing things. That's not real." And then he's summoned by these 3 warrior spirits that say they served that lord whose soul he consumed, and they are there to sort of seek retribution. And they attack him, and he tries to fight back, but he can't. They're constantly moving around. They're constantly disappearing. He can't seem to get them. Finally, he actually does manage to pierce each of them, kill them one by one, or appear to, as he has a long spear, and as he spears each of them, they kind of like freeze in like an anguish pose, and he's all alone, and he's like breathing in relief, and right then all 3 of the spirits return to him, and they surround him, and he just completely goes crazy and does this. And this guy who started very dignified in the story, he started very like together, ends like this. And that's such an again, all performance, all the face, and all the music as well. That's accompanying this one. So that's sort of where it leaves it. And in fact, the story and the original story that it's based on doesn't have an ending. And this is a case of, I guess, some of the stories of the KWAIDAN, is that they're actually fragments. We don't have the entire story anymore. Parts of the story are lost. So this is a story without an ending. And the writer character was actually invented for the movie. In the original story is just kind of who knows how it ends, who knows why that happened, blah, blah, blah. But in the movie, In a Cup of Tea, in KWAIDAN, he then gets visited by his publisher, who's played by like a big actor, Nakamura Ganjiro, who's in a bunch of Ozu movies, Mizoguchi movies, and his and then Haruko Sugimura as like the madam who is like the landlord basically of where this writer is working. And so the publisher comes to visit the writer who's been writing this story, and they can't find him anywhere. And then all of a sudden, Haruko Sugimura, an iconic scream, such a great, like one of the great film horror screams, summons him to go look into this, big pot of tea that's out there. And who's in there but the writer? And man, actually, let me see if I can get the. Let's see if I can. I want to see if I get a good image of this that I can show, because it's one of my. It was actually my. Is it still my Letterboxd? Is it still my Letterboxd? Oh yeah, it's my Letterboxd icon. It still is. Shit. I'm trying to get it good. All right, here's a GIF. Fuck you, ass shit. God, why does the internet suck, guys? Huh? Why is that image such ass? Okay, here we go. This guy, right here. Right here. He's in the pot of tea. And to me, this comes at the end of the story as like almost Kobayashi almost putting himself in it, right? That now he's almost in the Hoichi role of having put all these stories together and then sort of giving them over to you, and what happens with them. How do you take them? How do you put that ending on it? And it's like, and it's also a statement on all storytelling again. So it's interesting because I think the first 2 stories are about like love, like very clearly about love. And then the next 2 are about like storytelling and legacy and what do we like or in our history, and how does that carry on? And I don't know, again, it's just indelible images. Like, I'm not going to act like I know exactly why he made the choices he did, but it is the... I just can't even express. I'm actually running out of words. I've been talking for an hour straight about this movie, and I just lack the words, I'm realizing, because it's truly an otherworldly experience. I cannot recommend this movie highly enough. If you want to split it up, watch each story at a time. None are longer than like 45 minutes. Around then. Do yourself a favor. Take an edible. Take an edible and watch KWAIDAN. Okay? And guess what? Guess what, everybody? I'm bringing the segment back. I'm bringing segment back. What? That's right. We're doing it. We're doing it. I haven't done it the last couple weeks, but I'm bringing it back. If you liked KWAIDAN, then you should try these movies. Okay, so I start off with two by Shindo, Kanato Shindo. These are great companion pieces to each other. They came out 1 year apart from each other, and they're almost like mirror images. Kuronoko, I don't know, is much more like an overt ghost story. It's about these vengeful spirits who also manifest as cats as well, and they seek revenge on samurai because they died at the hands of some very nasty samurai. And yeah, it's a great one. And then Onibaba is about actually these. It's about these two women, the mother and wife of a samurai who goes to war, and then they die, and then he returns and is investigating why these ghosts are killing the samurai, and it's his wife and mom. This is about a wife and mom, again, of a samurai who goes to war, but that samurai dies, and they have to go on. And this movie is one of my favorite topics in film, how horniness makes you go insane. It has a great mask. This is the evil mask that sort of happens, and it's also just lots of good horniness making you crazy. So both of these movies I definitely recommend for Japanese ghost stories. Now, going with a different tack and going Japanese anthology, how about Akira Kurosawa's Dreams? I always caution people, because people hear about dreams and they're like, oh, that sounds really cool, like a movie is just somebody making their dreams. Don't let this be your first Kurosawa. Watch a couple of the classics first. Watch at least, like, Rashomon and at least 3 or 4, and then because you'll like it if you watch it before the other stuff. But I think if you get a sense of Kurosawa, the man, and the storyteller, it really deepens your appreciation for this. Actually, this would be a fun one to revisit now that I've rewatched a couple Kurosawas recently. Great companion. Also, of course, the thing everybody always mentions about this movie, Martin Scorsese is in it playing Vincent van Gogh. So, there you go. But also some really incredible, just like in this movie, incredible tableaus, like almost, again, that sort of flat feeling of scroll or artistic representation, but brought to life. There's lots of stuff like that of bringing art to life. And then the last one, actually came up earlier on the stream, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. This is actually my favorite Terry Gilliam. I like this more than Brazil. I like this more than the other stuff. This is about a storyteller man who... Munchausen is Munchausen's by proxy and that kind of stuff. It's about a famous fabulist. Like, this is what he's known for. He's a liar and people never believe him. And so he tells all these tall tales, and they have to go on a journey and somehow, come upon all these different things. And it's the blurring of a magical realism and really realistic depictions of kind of war and violence as well. But really, really cool movie. And Uma Thurman is in it, and she's also in The Producers. And Nathan Lane is in the producers, and he's also in Addams Family Values. Sorry, that was the movie to movie I did earlier in the stream, if you missed it. So yeah, that's, if you liked KWAIDAN, try those. I mean, there's lots more I could have recommended, but those were just the 4 that I grabbed before the stream. So yeah, that's KWAIDAN. I mean, I could keep talking about it, but I'd rather just watch it again. I mean, I won't. Don't worry, Abby, we're not going to watch it again. I don't think she would be that upset. Yeah, Robin Williams is great in that. There's lots of really good cameo things in that. Eric Idle's really good at it as well. So yeah, if you liked KWAIDAN, try those movies. And then, other than that, I think that's the stream. I think that's a stream. I think we did a stream. By myself. All by my lonesome. All by my lonesome. So we got 1 week left of Spooktember. It's going to be one of 2 movies. And I'm not sure which yet. It's going to be either another Japanese movie, Hausu, or House, or it's going to be The Shining. I don't know. Watch my socials, and we'll see what it ends up being. But other than that, oh, and I'm going to stream tomorrow. I'm going to try to do an early stream tomorrow. I'm going to do like a Sunday brunch. Oh, I should say, I cheated on the stream, and I did Lego outside of stream hours, and I finished my Wall-E and Eve. So I did my Eve. Here's my Wall-E. Yeah. So they're really cute. I really love them. And now that I've shown them on stream, I can actually bring them to work to decorate my cubicle. So yeah. So come hang out tomorrow. I'm going to be working on, I think what I'm going to be doing, if you've ever seen my Tony Trainwrecks playlist that I've watched on this stream a few times, I had an idea this week for a sequel, a new playlist. Tony Trainwrecks 2, Talk Show Trainwrecks, A Freak Like Me Needs Company. So enjoy that. It should be a lot of fun. I'm going to be looking at... I've queued up a bunch of fun stuff to watch as a part of that, and we'll be judging if they should stay in the playlist or not. So yeah, nobody's streaming right now that I follow, so I'm just going to log off here, I guess. But yeah, until next week. I'm Lord Gugu. This has been a Good Movie Chat About.
Toronto, Cannes, Berlin, and Sundance. Everybody chat about good movies. Chat about good movies. Chat about good movies. Good movies. Good movies.